girls who witnessed the unthinkable.
Where are you going?
I mean, we were just little, helpless, and just screaming and crying.
Unable to escape the horror for years.
He's a sexual predator. He likes young girls.
Open the door!
If you say anything, you might get killed.
Would you say he was a monster?
He's just a demon in disguise.
I'd say this person is beyond human.
But against all odds, they turn tragedy into triumph. My name is Aphrodite Jones. As a true crime author, I take on controversial cases. I track down the story behind the story, and I won't stop until I get the truth. Miami, Florida in the 1980s. It wasn't what it's like today. The 80s were known as the cocaine cowboy days, where drugs and guns defined the place they called Magic City, and murders were an almost everyday occurrence.
Back then, they were dismembering the body so they could not be identified. They would cut off the heads, the arms, and the legs.
It's April 2nd, 1985, when green garbage bags wash up on a stretch of beach called Virginia Key in Key Biscayne. Inside, the severed body parts of a woman.
Walking on that beach and imagining a torso washing up, just a torso.
Detectives have little to go on, only that the unidentified woman was dismembered with a saw. Is it the work of a serial killer, drug lords, a lover's triangle gone horribly wrong? I've come to South Florida to re-examine a case that remained cold for nearly a quarter of a century, and to meet two very brave sisters who overcame tragedy to help detectives close it. But to get to this ending, you have to go back to the beginning. The time is the early 1970s. The place, Puerto Rico. Nilsa Padilla and Maggie Soto are cousins, but are so close they call each other sisters. And after Maggie moves to Hartford, Connecticut, Nilsa soon follows her lead.
I've always been a shy person, but she was outgrowing. She would invite me to go out, meet people, meet her friends.
And one of the people Nilsa meets is Miguel Cruz. Almost immediately, she falls head over heels for him.
He is the one. Nilsa knows this is her man.
On December 2nd, 1977, Nilsa gives birth to a girl she and Miguel name Bernisa. They start to build a life together.
What time are you coming back?
I'll be back in 11, I promise.
But it all comes crashing down around Nilsa in 1978, after Miguel and a buddy go drinking.
And they were at the bar, they drank, they met two girls, and then they left with the girls.
According to police, Miguel and the other man raped the women. Although Miguel's always proclaimed his innocence, he's found guilty of sexual assault, and both men do time. Nilsa refuses to stand by her man.
Some women might wait, but I'm not one of them, okay? But he loves you. This is not about love, Maggie. Me and Bernice are just getting out of here.
After she broke up with Miguel, she disappeared for a couple of years.
When Nilsa reappears in Hartford in the early 1980s, she not only shows up with Bernisa, but with two other daughters, Gloria and Alicia, as well as the girl's father, a man who goes by the name Rafael Guzman.
He had a lot of hair, and a lot of hair here and a lot of hair here. So he looked very creepy. So I wouldn't mess with him.
When Maggie meets this man that is known as Rafi, she has that sick feeling in her gut. This is not a good person.
I asked her where she's staying. She told me at this truck that's parked outside. And it was filthy inside. But it had a stove. It had a small refrigerator. It had 3 beds, 2 bunk beds, and a big bed for them.
It's a little messy.
And that's where they were living.
It looks lived in. Maggie, you don't have to lie. I don't mind.
They're living in some kind of camper in her driveway. What kind of life is that for these girls?
I would tell my cousin,
Are you with this guy again?
why are you with this guy?
He's the father of Gloria and Alicia, and I have 3 kids. Where am I gonna go?
Oh, I like him. I love him.
Maggie's concerns over Nilsa's relationship with Raphael intensify when one day she sees that little Gloria's hand is bandaged.
So I'm wrapping it until I take everything out. And to my surprise, the hand was crooked.
So what happened to her? Something fell on top of her hand and Rafi was taking care of her. Fell? This doesn't look like something just fell. Listen, I don't have any money. Can you just help me to take care of her? She needs a doctor, Niesa.
It was cut in several pieces, you know.
Gloria, dile que vas a estar bien, ¿verdad? Sí.
So I cleaned it and I wrapped it again. I remember telling Nelsa one time, just leave the guy. Come and live with me. I'll help you with your kids. And she would say, no, I love him. I want to be with him. She stayed about 3 weeks, so I grew very attached, especially to Gloria. The last thing I remember, Bernice had already left. Gloria's looking at me with her round big eyes, like saying, do something, help me, keep me. So I didn't do nothing. I didn't think I could do nothing. So she left. I could not forgive myself for not trying harder, for not being there for them.
The pain and suffering that Maggie went through, seeing that image of Gloria's begging eyes for 25 years, it haunts her.
By March of 1984, Nilsa and Raphael end up in South Florida on a desolate stretch of beach in Key Biscayne. Living off the grid, they're surviving on Nilsa's welfare checks. Family members say Nilsa often drinks her days away with Raphael, leaving her daughters to fend for themselves.
If you're living off the beach, you find crabs. Guess what? You better catch that crab. If you catch a crab on the sand, guess what? That's the crab. You go and cook. You learn how to make a fire, and you cook from the fire.
So in other words, you're surviving?
Surviving. We hunted for everything. We went fishing. It's not even really a fishing pole, it's a stick.
So you actually caught your own food?
We caught our own food. We lived like little cavemen.
So what did you use to wash your hair with and bathe?
We didn't wash our hair, we just go swimming. There was no such things.
You did not have soap or know what soap or shampoo was as a child?
No. When you're a child, that's all you know. You don't know.
I mean, animals take care better of their young.
I agree with you.
How does anybody let their children live out in the wild? Bathing in the ocean? Having no soap? Having no food?
I remember my sister and I, we went, I don't know what store. Go in there. You don't have slippers. I don't remember if I had a shirt or not. We just put something on in the changing room. Put shoes on. We went right out the door.
That's all we could take.
We ran as fast as we could all the way home.
And that's how you got
Yeah.
new clothes?
Yeah.
Mommy, can you please pack me lunch today?
And when it comes to school, the girls only occasionally attend.
Can you just ask someone to share in school?
And remember, I'm going to pick you up from school, okay?
He was touching you.
He forced himself in to have sex. Remember, you have to do, otherwise you're going to get hurt. One way or another, he's going to get what he wants. You're a child. And his van. I remember that van very well.
But you were so little.
Exactly, I'm a baby, but I was big enough for him.
Bernice keeps the repeated alleged sexual abuse a secret for months. But does Nilsa have her own secrets as well? Is she hiding something? Finally, in the spring of 1985, Bernice summons the courage to open up to her mom.
We're getting ready for school. I remember she was getting me ready. I told my mom, saying, Mom,
There's been something I'm needing to tell you.
What is it, sweetie?
and I told her I was being touched. She didn't believe me.
Don't ever say that again.
Don't ever say that again, okay?
She smacked me.
She didn't want to believe it.
Exactly.
Or she didn't believe it. Is it
I
she
don't-
didn't want to believe it or she didn't believe it?
I don't know whether she wanted to believe it or not believe it. Either way, I got hit for it.
I don't ever want to hear that again, all right?
Coming up. Now knowing what has possibly happened to her daughter, the question becomes, will Nilsa do anything about it? And does Raphael know his secret has been revealed?
Would you say he was a monster?
He's just a demon in disguise.
It's the kind of childhood no little girl should ever have to endure. All alone, Bernice and Gloria must take care of themselves and their baby sister, Alicia. It all comes down to survival. And after Bernice tells her mother that Raphael Guzman has been sexually abusing her,
He's been touching me.
Bernice hopes it will put an end to this nightmare. But that hope is quickly dashed.
Don't say that again.
She smacked me.
Bernice remembers being in the trailer that night with her sisters and mother when Raphael comes home. Does he know Bernice has finally confided in her mother? Or is his rage coming from a different place?
I think we need to talk.
No, we don't.
What is wrong with you? Stop!
We just took out a bottle and started hitting her.
I remember me and my two sisters, Alicia and Bernice, up on top there, crying and screaming.
Screaming what? No?
Screaming, just screaming and crying at the fight that was going on. My dad had a bag full of beer bottles that he was beating her with it. There was nothing that we could do. We were just little, helpless, and just screaming and crying.
And she opens the door, right? And then he closed the door, pushed her back, and finished her. And there's blood all over.
Imagine watching your mother get beaten to death and you're 5 or 4 years old. The panic, the fear, the absolute shock. Seeing that. To have that as your first memory, one of your very first memories in your life. How do you live with that?
I saw him put her body in the bag, and I remember helping him digging a hole to put her body in that hole. And there was just a lot of rocks under there, so there was not much digging that he can do.
He had put her into the van. It's the same van that he used to play with me while he took me away from my mom.
I know you were only 7, but why not run?
Because if you don't do anything, he catch you, you die. You saw your mother dying. Your mother's bigger than you are. What can you do if you run? And leave my sister behind too?
Those were your babies.
Yes, they're my babies. And guess what? I suffer for that every day of my life.
Gloria says just after her mom died, Raphael turns all his sick behavior towards her and Bernice.
We didn't like it, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse. We didn't like any of that. But we accepted it. We had no other choice but to accept it.
We are his 2 women. Just a child virgin. Whether we liked it or not.
Think about their resilience. These girls raised themselves in the most dire of circumstances.
Raphael moves them to the Florida Keys, and despite all their heartache, the girls still manage to create something out of nothing.
We lived right behind the Kmart.
And around Christmas time, we used to go into the dumpsters of Kmart and jump in there and just find whatever they had. Usually a lot of times they tossed out candy canes. That's what we took.
Bernice and Gloria savor the few happy moments they share with each other and their sister Alicia. But as Bernice remembers it, those fleeting moments come to an end forever in the summer of 1985.
Okay, listen to me. This milk and food is expensive. So I need you to eat all of it, okay?
Their mother has been gone for a few months, and police believe Raphael is living off Nilsa's welfare checks, claiming she's still alive.
I have to go out, I'll be back.
No one is sure where Raphael goes that morning, but Bernice remembers they were eating cereal.
And he told us, you better make sure you finish your food. I was looking at it, and I never liked smush cereal to start out.
Why don't you eat your cereal? I don't like it too smushy.
Me time. So my two sisters went ahead and finished the bowl of cereal.
Do you want to go play? Yeah. Okay, come on.
Not wanting her father to think she didn't finish her cereal, Bernice says she switched bowls with little Alicia. It's an idea only a child could come up with, but it's a decision that would lead to dire consequences. Coming up.
And he took her out the door. And after that, I don't remember exactly what he did with her.
So there's no way to know whether or not perhaps somebody had found her on a roadside and changed her name.
Well, we know it does happen. And we also know that people do sell children.
According to Bernice and Gloria, it's been several months since they saw their mother killed right before their very eyes. And now they have no idea what Raphael Guzman is capable of doing next.
When he came back, he saw one bowl still full.
Why did Alicia not finish her cereal?
It was too full.
No, Alicia's going to finish it.
He got mad and just went ahead and banged her.
Did he knock her to the ground?
Oh, I know he hit her so hard to the point he just doesn't move anymore.
She just stopped moving.
She stopped moving. I know he hit her in the face and broke her neck. Yo, I know he hit her so hard. Then he took her out the door. And after that, I don't remember exactly what he did with her.
What happened to Alicia is still a mystery, and to date, no charges have been filed regarding her disappearance. But police believe the sister's story.
Bernice said she was not moving, but can we say she was dead? I don't know.
So there's no way to know whether or not perhaps somebody could have found her on a roadside and changed her name and decided that she would be their baby and she would never know that she was swept away by another family. Is that what you're saying?
We know it does happen. And we also know that people do sell children. So my speculation is she was either murdered or he perhaps sold her or left her and somebody did find her.
The guilt Bernicia has over switching a bowl of cereal and believing that she caused her sister to be beaten or hit to unconsciousness.
Being that she was a little girl and being as young as she was, no child deserved to go through what she went through. No child deserves it. I probably too scared to say anything to anybody. We know what happened to her mom. We didn't know what was going to happen if we said anything.
But then, one afternoon in the winter of 1985, someone new enters their lives. Someone who will give these sisters something they haven't had for quite a while. Basic human compassion.
You have really pretty hair.
We went up to her and we complimented her as to how pretty her hair was. She asked me, where her parents were. So I took her to, to introduce her to my dad.
Oh, we've been, traveling around and they haven't been feeling so well.
She had asked them why we're not in school. As, you know, and living in a regular place, we're kids.
Thank you. Thank you for the food. You're so welcome. Glad you like it. What?
With a heart full of love, this woman named Jerry starts visiting the girls at the beach, bringing them much-needed food and clothing.
She invited us to her house. She'd feed us there, bathe us there. I remember spending a Christmas or two there with her. You know, we were introduced to who Santa was. You know, we had our first birthday cakes.
But according to Jerry, when Raphael feels she's getting too close to his girls, he makes it quite clear just who's in charge.
If you ever try to take these girls away from me, I'll kill you.
And when Jerry comes back for another visit, the girls and Raphael are gone. In August of 1987, records show Raphael moves into a housing project in the Keys. He's receiving benefits for an asthmatic condition, and the girls are in school. But a roof over their heads doesn't make life any easier.
I'm going to go out for a little while. I'm going to bed by 7 o'clock. I don't want you to get into any trouble.
I think when we were in the apartment, when that realization came in that things weren't normal.
According to Gloria, her father beats her with a large tree branch. She hides the welts as best she can.
I think a part of me wanted to tell one of the little friends from the area. I was afraid to. There was so many times we were just afraid of my dad.
Would you say it was a monster?
He's just a demon in disguise.
On January 30th, 1988, Raphael is arrested in Miami. Charged with disorderly intoxication, he spends one night in jail. And that's when little Gloria realizes this could be her and Bernice's opportunity.
My dad didn't show up, and I told Bernice, let's go.
You wanted to escape.
I wanted to go. I didn't even know where to go. Just go.
Why didn't she want to go?
She was probably scared. My sister suffered a lot with my dad. She was probably thinking about the consequences.
She wanted to run, but you wouldn't have been able to go anywhere, really.
Right. If your mom couldn't even escape, what make you think you can escape?
You know, I remember showering with my dad. We didn't like it, but it was what it was.
All these little girls want is just a normal life. Bernice starts to find it when she makes friends with a classmate.
Ask my dad. Ask my mom.
It was a friend who went to the same school, of course, and lived on a couple block apartment down.
It's March 15th, 1989, and the girls remember locking the bedroom door to keep their father out.
I remember we were in the bed. All three of us, I think we were sleeping in the bed.
Girls, open the door. It's your father. Daniel, it's your father.
Where is the door from?
Open the door.
I knew what he was trying to do. I knew he was going to try to force himself in there.
Coming up,
Last thing I remember was my dad told us, Gloria, Bernice, or whatever you guys do, lie.
What did the people say when they saw those pictures?
If they should have believed it when I was still a little girl, drawing a picture of a mommy being murdered.
Yeah, they should have believed you.
for sisters Bernice and Gloria, life's been one tragedy after another. From witnessing the horrible murder of their mother in 1985 to never seeing their baby sister again. And now in March of 1989, as a friend of Bernice's sleeps over, it appears their father is coming after all of them.
Open the door!
And he came in there drunk and belligerent as always, stumbling around. He got into the bed, and he started feeling up on her.
He tried to touch her, and she said no. No.
He was pushing him away. The next day, she went back to her parents. She told her parents because that same day we had the detectives at our house. Last thing I remember was my dad told us,
whatever they ask you, I need you to lie.
you know, I was a little scared, you know.
I was still afraid to say anything because I'm going to get killed if I say something.
What a relief it must have been for these girls to see this man put behind bars, taken away by police. Even if they were afraid to tell their story, they knew in their heart and their gut that they had been saved. Rafael Guzman pleads guilty to 1 count of lewd and lascivious behavior. Sentenced to 3.5 years, he serves only 1.5.
After they took us from our dad, we eventually opened up. You know, after them trying and having them put us with a psychiatrist, we opened up.
I remember telling my mom I was killed, and I'm drawing a lot of pictures too when I was going to counseling.
What kind of pictures did you draw?
When he sexual touched me, murdering my mom, stuff.
What did the people say when they saw those pictures?
I don't know. They didn't believe us then. They should have believed it then.
Yeah, they should have believed you.
They should have believed it when I was still a little girl, drawing a picture of a mommy being murdered, a little sister, and blood around the trailer, and me in touch. Why can't they believe that?
In the late 80s, there were problems with Florida's child welfare system. So it's no surprise that no other abuse charges are filed against Rafael. Bernice and Gloria bounced from one foster home to another.
The transition was difficult because you meet new people, you get adjusted, you feel like you're close to them. And the last thing you want to do is leave them. So, but when they tell you, hey, we gotta go, we're gonna put you into another home, you go, you pack up your stuff and you go.
But then Jerry, the woman who'd lost contact with them 3 years ago, discovers their current situation. She immediately takes the girls in as her foster kids.
We're excited. We were happy. We were thrilled. We knew who she was. You know, we felt safe.
The loving, tender, caring, the touch of a loving person has. She'd say how beautiful I am and so on. Who knows the kid? Give me the attention, took care of me, made sure I was fed.
Still, afraid Rafael could track her and the girls down, Jerry moves them more than 100 miles north to Hollywood, Florida. They always lived looking over their shoulders, because once he was going to be out of prison, they thought, he's coming back to get us. For Gloria, this fear is magnified one day when she's on a school field trip.
We had a trip to the Miami Sea Aquarium, and on my way to the Miami Sea Aquarium, I remembered the beach. I remembered that area where my mom died.
For each sister, the past is something they can never escape. And as they get older, they find different ways to deal with it. Gloria rebels, running away from Jerry and turning away from Bernice. Bernice finds solace by turning to the church. As for Rafael, after getting released from prison, he lives on the streets of Miami. Arrested twice for violating his parole and for disorderly conduct, he's thrown back in prison to finish out his original sentence. Gloria also has her own run-ins with the law.
I'd been questioned for loitering late at night. I was very resistant. I got maced 3 times.
By 17, Gloria is alone and pregnant.
I didn't think about the consequences until they hit me. They hit me hard. So here I am, no job, no income. I had to try to figure out how to make money fast. I had a little child to take care of. So I just walked into a strip club one day, filled out the application, and I just built the courage to do it. I didn't want to do it, but it's something that I had to do to survive.
Gloria says, like her mother before her, she begins to lose herself in alcohol, caught in a downward spiral she seemingly can't get out of. That is, until she meets someone special, a man named Milton.
Little by little, I started opening up to him.
Milton gives her the courage to stop dancing, to focus on her son, to get a steady job, and to confront her past, not run from it.
There's a reason why God put him in my path.
In 2003, Gloria finally summons the strength to call the Miami-Dade Police Department.
They just set up a date to meet with me at my house.
Okay, so somebody came to your house.
Two detectives came to my house. I explained everything to them.
And just starts hitting her and hitting her.
Everything that happened to you as a child.
All they had to do was do a little research.
But what happened instead?
He's drunk again.
I was put on hold
By the police?
by the detectives because they wanted to work on another case, only to find out later that they didn't take my case seriously.
Gloria eventually moves on from this disappointment. It's now 7 years later, and as she gets her hair done, Gloria finds out her and her stylist have a connection.
My mom's birthday and my sister's father, Miguel Cruz, he's from Hartford. I'm from Hartford. Please see that. Oh my God. That's great.
Gloria tells her she remembers visiting a woman there who loved them. She can't remember the woman's name, but knows her mother was married to a Miguel Cruz, who is also Bernice's father. The stylist has friends in Hartford who helped Gloria track down a number for Miguel.
All these years growing up, I always wondered if I even had family. I kept searching.
Gloria turns to Bernice, but she has reservations. Bernice has a child as well and doesn't want to relive her tragic past.
Yes, you can. As soon as you realize that none of this was your fault, you can.
So you buried the past, but now your sister, Gloria, decides to go to the police.
If he's still out there roaming around and touching other little girls, you don't know. And that's the only reason I'm doing this.
Soon they both get Bernice's father, Miguel, and their Aunt Maggie on the line.
And I started crying out the other side. I could not believe that they both contacted me.
The first thing they asked me was, "Where's my mom?"
My mother's dead.
Then they asked me, "Where's my dad?" And I told them,
What'd you say?
"My mom is dead. She was murdered." They were in shock.
I'm telling the girls, "Are you sure that happened?" I could barely talk because Nilsa spent so many years with me. I was like her sister. I said, "And how's Alicia?"
I think he killed Alicia too.
I cried more. I never in my dreams would have thought anything of this would happen.
This call gives Gloria the renewed courage and strength to go to the police one more time.
But when you went into that police station in Miami in 2010, were you worried that you weren't going to be believed?
I was worried that I wasn't going to believe again.
Coming up,
When someone walks into your office in 2010 to tell you about a murder that happened, 25 years ago, how do you go about processing that?
in 2003, Gloria Hampton says Miami-Dade police never follow up on her case, the murder of her mother, Nilsa Padilla, and the disappearance of her baby sister, Alicia. Now in 2010, Gloria has summoned the courage again to go to the police. The case moves from one homicide detective to the next, ending up with Detective Jim Gallagher, who's brought up to speed by his boss.
What did he say?
He just said this girl has been in here before trying to seek help. She didn't get it. Now we're going to make sure that we do what we have to do. We do our job.
When someone walks into your office in 2010 to tell you about a murder that happened, 25 years ago, how do you go about processing that?
Well, first of all, you have to talk to them separately, listen to them, let them tell their story, and then you have to go back and ask questions, A, B, C, and D.
So when you did that and you questioned Bernice and Gloria separately, did they corroborate each other's stories for the most part? Did you find that they were similar enough?
He came in with a bag of bottles. He just started beating her in the head with them.
They were were similar enough where I believed them, but they were different enough where I knew they did not concoct the story.
No, we thought it would never stop.
You know, oftentimes if people concoct a story, they exchange those stories. These girls did not do that.
She was my baby sister.
I took sworn statements from them, so I believed their story.
Now the question is, are Nilsa's remains in the medical examiner's office? Is she one of South Florida's many unidentified Jane Does? Eventually, detectives believe the Jane Doe known as Virginia Key Jane Doe might possibly be Nilsa. A rib, teeth, and vertebrae from Virginia Key Jane Doe are laid out. They are then sent off to NamUs, the National Association of Missing and Unidentified Persons, so DNA can be extracted and new samples entered into the national database.
Once Nilsa's children came forth about the murder, DNA was obtained from both the daughters, and it was sent off to NamUs.
Then Gallagher does some good old-fashioned detective work.
We put missing persons reports for both Nilsa Padilla and Alicia into the system. Reports from the Department of Human Resources from the state of Florida at the time say that both Nilsa Padilla and her daughter Alicia basically dropped out of the welfare system after 1985.
Next, Detective Gallagher discovers something equally important. Rafael Guzman's name is actually Jorge Walter Nunez, and he's from Peru, not Puerto Rico, as he's always claimed.
And that's how I found out that he had been deported in 2004.
Why was he deported?
A habitual criminal.
Had those police officers listened to me in 2003, they would have had my dad. But because they decided not to take my case seriously, my dad slipped away.
But Gloria's anger is tempered when the results of the DNA testing finally come back in March 2012. Virginia Key Jane Doe is their mother, Nilsa.
Sounds a 25-year cold case.
We told the two girls about the DNA match. And I remember the first thing Gloria said, she said, see, I know I wasn't crazy.
I knew she was dead, but the fact that they had her in their possession was even more thrilling. The happiest day of my life. There was some closure. I can give my mom some sort of proper burial or goodbye, you know, instead of just sitting at the medical examiner's office. You know, she deserves a proper ceremony.
With the DNA match, second-degree murder charges are filed against Nunez. But finding Nunez may be difficult. There's been no sign of him in Peru or anywhere else since 2010.
What has gotten under your skin about this case?
Well, I truly felt sorry for both girls. They had no childhood. They were robbed of that. They were abused by this man. He took away their mother. The youngest sister's gone. We're assuming she's dead. Yeah, the girls deserve closure on this.
I'd like nothing more than to give these two brave sisters the closure they both deserve. More than anything, I think that's what would help them deal with the emotions that have been eating away at them for more than 2 decades.
So you spent many years crying about this.
Yeah. Always asking for my mom. You know, as a girl and as a teen, you see everybody with their mom. I didn't want it. So many questions that only you can ask your mom. And I had to grow up learning from friends and other people. The hugs that I'm sure that I would have gotten from my mom just watching everybody walk with their mom, their dad.
You didn't have it.
I didn't have any of it.
You now, having turned that corner, are an example of what is possible to survive, not only for your children, but for any child out there who is a victim of abuse.
I worked very, very, very hard out of nothing. Built up a castle. out of dirt. I didn't have a mom to help me. I didn't have a daddy to help me.